FM News Talk 97.1.
On-demand audio.
Earlier last hour, we were talking about a news article that Jason Church had brought to our attention, our news director, about what is happening in Sikeston. Beautiful town, by the way. Sikeston, Missouri, in southern Missouri. And there's a story, I first saw this on Fox 2 News, that a new, I guess it's a city ordinance, apparently they're rounding up pit bulls, even ones that may not have a history of incident, even ones that may be family pets, because they're deemed to be dangerous. Joining us right now on the phone is the city manager of Sikeston, Doug Friend, who was able to join us on short notice, which we appreciate. Sir, good afternoon to you.
Good afternoon. How are you doing today?
I am doing well. What is the background behind this story? I just learned about this afternoon, and I'm not a big PETA kind of person. I do like dogs. I really don't like cats at all. I love dogs, but I'm trying to figure out kind of what the story is with this. Is it true? What's been reported? Give us some insight.
No, it's not true as it was reported. Actually, I never got to talk to the gentleman that filed the report. He had called and left a message and indicated he was on his way to City Hall. And he never showed up for him and I to have a conversation. Basically, I don't know how it got sensationalized, but I'll be happy to tell you the backstory to fill in the gaps.
Okay, sure.
We do have an ordinance that has been on the books for 9 to 10 years in various forms, and it does identify pit bulls as a dangerous breed. Now, that is a given. But the suggestion that we have roundups to take these animals from families is just inaccurate. There are certain requirements, liability insurance, certain containment facilities if you own a pit bull, but we have a number of pit bulls in town that are family pets, but people comply with our ordinance. Basically what happened, I suspect what happened is we run our contract for a small humane society shelter. The population this time of year was getting very large. The local shelter manager found a place to take some animals, and I think it ended up at at a facility out in St. Charles, Missouri, where 25 dogs were picked up. From that point, somehow it got misrepresented that the reason those animals were there was a direct result of some draconian effort on our part to ride through town and pick up pit bulls, and that's just not the case. The population was large. The shelter manager found a place that would take some of the animals, which would allow us, in turn, to have a place to shelter the strays or the local animals that we do pick up. There have been instances where individuals were out of compliance with that ordinance. They're given a copy of the ordinance. They're asked to comply. If they can do that in very short order, the animals are not taken. If they cannot, we house the animals in the shelter until they come into compliance. So it's pretty simple, and it was put on the books after a lot of policy debate. I mean, it didn't happen on Monday and passed on Tuesday. We probably went through 6 or 7 months of discussion, and it really resulted from the public, the local citizens here, indicating that they had issues in the past with folks who own pit bulls, issues at the bus stop, issues with their children playing out in the yard, issues with, our law enforcement officials going to houses to make an arrest, and there being pit bulls present. After a lot of debate, we did end up with an ordinance similar to what many communities have.
Yeah, and is it an ordinance that just focuses on pit bulls, or do you look at other breeds of dogs, or because I know that there's it kind of varies according to city by city.
It identifies the pit bulls and in those with similar traits, and I don't have the ordinance in front of me. However, any animal that would have a tendency to, bite, and, we'd have documented evidence that an animal was creating a dangerous situation, could fall under this ordinance. So it could be, a collie, a German Shepherd, a poodle, you name it.
Right.
But it's kind of tailored around many of the ordinances that were being placed in communities all over the country at that given time.
Right. So you're not like riding through the streets, Lady and the Tramp style, reaching over fences and grabbing people's pets in their yards.
Doesn't happen that way, no, ma'am.
Now because I was looking at this Fox 2 News story, and I was, I've been hearing a couple of different things, and we were very, very curious about this, and we had a lot of people call in about it. What are the, and again, I know this varies from city to city, but in Sikeston particularly, and I know you don't have the ordinance right in front of you, but you mentioned, you have to have liability insurance. I know in one of the cities that I lived in previously, dogs like Rottweilers and pit bulls and things like that, they had to be chipped. They had to have a fence that was, yay high. Is that pretty similar for what Sikeston requires?
Generally, the animal would have to be registered. It has to be in an enclosed containment facility. A chain link fence with a top, a concrete floor, so the animal can't dig out. If you're walking the animal, it has to be muzzled. The liability requirement, we do require photos of the animal, because we just want to be able, we've got basically a little pin map, and we can identify,
right.
Okay, these are all registered pit bulls, everybody's in compliance. We do an annual audit in the sense of trying to identify, okay, is that property owner still at that location? If not, okay, did they relocate? And then we, take them off the registration rolls, if you will.
Right.
So it's, but there are cases. I mean, I've got 4 individuals who are tasked with doing a variety of code enforcement duties, and it routinely they could drive down a street and see a pit bull that did not comply, and then they would approach the owner of the animal and
right.
indicate what the ordinance requirements are.
Does Sikeston, when you look at, because we have, people call in and say there's no bad breeds, just bad owners and things like that, which, and I, as someone who, my family, I'm a big dog lover, and we had German Shepherds and all kinds of stuff. That kind of, do you find from your perspective and everything that you deal with in the city of Sikeston? I mean, that's kind of what it is. You just have people that don't do their due diligence in properly caring for their animal, and it creates a dangerous situation.
I think that is a topic that was discussed during our debate on putting this policy in place. It's not something that the animal is just going to do that because it's a breed. However,
right.
Our ordinance is kind of tailored that way, and
right.
It's very similar to others. But if we find there's a dangerous dog, regardless of the breed, it could fall under the requirements of this ordinance.
Right. Well, Doug, I so appreciate you joining us. I know it was kind of last minute, and we appreciate you giving us this side of the story, because we saw this. I think this was the only thing that we've been able to really find about it online, is this Fox 2 News story. So we appreciate it.
Believe me, I've talked to a lot of folks today to try to set the record straight, to let folks know that we're not in the business as it was portrayed on the news story last night. So I'd be happy to say, anybody has any questions, give me a call, but whether I'm available the rest of the day, who knows? You
should put up a frequently asked question on the site, on the city site.
I probably need to do something.
There you go. Doug, I appreciate it. Doug Friend, City Manager of Sikeston. Thank you again, sir.
Have a great day.
All right, take care. You too. Yeah, that was my big concern, because I immediately was thinking of Lady and the Tramp. You know how you had the dog catcher go through the streets and picking up, they'll get you even if you're, and that's, I kind of look at it this way. If, there's ordinances, and I'm glad that they don't just go and scoop up animals, take away people's family pets. Because I think, you do, again, it comes down to being a good owner. It comes down to, making sure that your dog knows what its boundaries are. And, because if you don't, then you create a problem where the government has to come in and do something. And if you don't like that the government has to come in and do something, well, work to encourage responsible pet ownership. Because everyone would like to see less government control, wouldn't they?